In my last video, I discussed 0. I discussed dividing by 0 and that there is no answer because anything multiplied by 0 is 0. However, that brings up something else. If anything multiplied by 0 is 0, then what happens when we divide 0 by 0? Well, if we divide 0 by 0, then we are trying to find what number will multiply by 0 to equal 0. No matter what number you multiply it by 0, the answer will be 0. So there are an infinite number of answers to this question. And that is what I want to talk about today. Some scientists believe that there are an infinite number of worlds, each one slightly different than the last. It could be something simple like having one less fly, or one less blade of grass. Each world changes one thing until eventually a world will be completely different from ours. I personally don't believe in this theory, and here's why. If there is an infinite amount of worlds, and each one is slightly different than the last, then in at least one of those worlds, actually an infinite number of them, there would be two beings with an infinite amount of power. One would look at our world. For sake of explanation, let's call our world World 1. Although you can't number the worlds because there is no way to number them all. Anyways, one of them will look at our Earth, Earth 1, and will say, when I snap my fingers, Earth 1 will disappear. The other one then says, when you snap your fingers, nothing will happen. What happens when he snaps his fingers? Do we disappear or stay the same? Well, if there are infinite worlds, then this would have already happened an infinite number of times. Now, obviously, we can't both exist and not exist at the same time. I think we would know if half of us didn't exist, so therefore we know that there are not infinite worlds. This may seem like a crazy ideal, but it is an example of the question, what happens when an unstoppable force hits an immovable object? Well, I have a theory about that too. In order for an object to be considered unmovable, it must have a mass of infinity. This is because an unmovable object is one that its acceleration cannot change, and in the equation for acceleration equals force over mass, the only way for an object to be unmovable is to have an infinite mass so that no matter the force that is put into the equation, the acceleration will always equal 0. However, if this immovable object is hit by an unstoppable force, then that force's force is infinite. Therefore, in the equation for acceleration, the immovable object's acceleration is equal to infinity divided by infinity. So what is infinity divided by infinity? Well, let's look at our equation to solve division problems. In order to find what infinity divided by infinity is, we need to find out what number multiplied by infinity equals infinity. Here's where things get really crazy. Anything other than the number 0 multiplied by infinity is infinity. Therefore, there is an infinite amount of numbers that could be the answer to this equation. However, 0 multiplied by infinity is 0 and not infinity. So the answer is infinity minus 0. So if infinity is every single number, then what is the answer to this equation? Is it infinity except 0? Is infinity minus 0 still infinity? Post your theories in the comments, and as always, have a good day.